Okay, y'all, I am like so excited. I'm so excited for this weekend. Like, I have nothing really planned, but I have things planned. I have so many books that I want to drop off at my local little libraries. I don't know, I'm just like feeling really invigorated right now because like the weather is so nice for kind of like the first time this year. And this is going to be like the first weekend where we have really nice weather. So that's just like chef's kiss. But I did want to catch up with y'all real quick. So currently I'm juggling 2 books, and I think it is so comical, the 2 books I'm juggling, because like the book covers could not be any more different. So I'm about 50 pages into Snow Globe. A few things I've heard about Snow Globe as to why I even decided to go out of my way and get it is, first and foremost, this was written in Korean. This is an English translation, and I heard like the translation was like really good, and this is from someone who speaks and reads both Korean and English. The one thing that like made me a little hesitant was because this is technically young adult, and I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to young adult. And the person who was kind of like explaining this book said it feels more Hunger Games-esque, and it doesn't feel as young adult typically is, especially in the States. So I was like, okay, cool, let's give it a whirl. So far, I would say yes and no to that statement. Like, it doesn't feel young, but it does feel young. I would say like the topic that's being like the general overarching scheme of the book is not young adult, right? But there's just like moments and like sentences and paragraphs that you're just like, this is very young. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're getting immersed into this world, and all of a sudden it's like, this was very juvenile sounding. So I don't know if that's like a translation factor or if that's just like this author's writing style, but we'll see. I am enjoying it, so it's not like that's a deterrent for me, but I just wanted to like point that out. Next, we have Six of Crows, which I actually did not know that this is a young adult book. I had no idea. That was never like the pitch when I was hearing people talk about it, and I myself just didn't even look into whether it's young adult or not. And I'm literally only 10 pages in, so I feel like I can't speak too heavily to it. And I'm also like doing a mixed read where I listen to the audiobook and I'm like reading kind of for now. And the audiobook is just very kind of like, I'm not sure how I feel about the audiobook, so I may end up actually like just fully reading the book. Anyways, I just love this. I love this cover. I think it's absolutely gorgeous and stunning.
And to strike it from the ground. But when he and Rutger entered, he saw no paint or scaffolding. The gondolas and oars had been pushed up against the walls. The other house guards were there.
Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna lie. I may be DNFing this book, but I'm gonna give it this caveat. So there's 2 narrators in this book so far, and the way they have been utilizing their vocal chops has made this book sound so juvenile, like so juvenile. And a part of me is like, okay, does it just sound juvenile because of the narration style, or does it sound juvenile because it is written juvenilely? Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna continue listening to the audiobook until I'm done with work. I have about like 4 more hours of work left. So I'm just gonna keep listening to audiobooks sporadically throughout my workday. Once I'm done with like work, I'm gonna actually like try and give this a chapter or 2 of just reading it and see if it's like reads any more mature. But if it continues on just sounding like I wrote it when I was 15, I might have to set this one down, which is unfortunate because I know a lot of people really love Leigh Bardugo, and so many people have recommended this book, and it's just kind of sad that I am not having an enjoyable experience with Six of Crows. But I will give it more of a chance. But I just wanted to give you guys that update that so far the cover is the best part about this book. Okay, y'all, so let's talk about Six of Crows. I have officially decided it's the narration style, and for only one of the narrators. So there's 2 narrators. There's a male narrator and a female narrator. And the thing is, like, the male, it's not like they intertwine in between chapters, so it's not like the male narrator doing the male dialogue and the female narrator doing the female dialogue. it's just like if we're in Kaz's, who is a male's perspective, he's narrating the entire chapter. But if we're in like Inej's chapter and she's a female, that narrator is narrating the entire chapter. And my qualm so far, we haven't really had a Kaz POV where he's talking to a woman, so I don't really know if he does like the really obnoxious but the female narrator, when she does Kaz's voice, it sounds like this angsty teenager, which is fine and dandy because Kaz is a 17-year-old, but he's supposed to be like this highly feared gang leader, and everything like dictates that he has like this raspy, growly voice. And so when the female narrator does it, it's like, hello, my name is Kaz. That's literally what it sounds like. So it just sounds like a bad Rugrats character. Or like any bad guy from like an late 90s, early 2000s cartoon. And by bad guy, I mean like it's a bunch of kids and you have to have like that one bad guy who's like, I don't like what you guys are doing today. This is not fair. That's what it sounds like. So that's the part where I'm getting it be like a very immature style and vibe. So I think today, I'm gonna listen to an audiobook while I'm driving around because I have errands to run. But I think today when I get home, I'm just gonna actually like physically read the book. Because I really like the male narrator and his cadence so far. But yeah, I cannot get over the female narrator and her doing like male voices because it always just sounds like I'm watching an early 2000s cartoon. I just finished up at Trader Joe's. It was actually pretty busy. On my way to Costco, I may or may not just, you know, have like an exit in between that goes by Barnes & Noble. So I think I might be swinging by Barnes & Noble today. Okay, I may have been in Barnes & Noble a little longer than I wanted to. I was in there for like just shy of an hour, but I did pick up a couple things. I snatched up their last copy of Mansfield Park in the Chiltern edition, and I just like want all of Jane Austen in these because they're so gorgeous. You just really can't get better than this, to be quite frank. And then I also picked up The Haunting by Natasha Preston. Okay, y'all, let's catch up a bit. Okay, so yesterday after I got home from running all my chores, I was actually like so tired. I don't no idea why. I just like got home exhausted. So I didn't really do a bunch of anything that I wanted to do yesterday. Update on Six of Crows, actually. I have discovered that each perspective has a different narrator. At first I thought it was like, oh, there's a male narrator and there's a female narrator. No, they all have their own narrators. I have discovered that the narrator I cannot stand is Inej. Whoever her narrator is, anytime she does Kaz's voice, that's when it sounds like a Rugrats character. And I'm just like, ugh. Every other narrator, I do not mind. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. They do it well. But Inej's parts, I'm just like, is this gonna be Kaz heavy dialogue? Because if it is, let's just skip it. That's my update on Six of Crows. The story's actually gotten really good. Really, really good. And again, my qualm is literally just with the narrator for Inej, so that's it. Hello. Oh, catch up here. Last time you guys saw me, we were on a little hot girl walk. The girls are definitely pooped from that walk. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I made breakfast. I was gonna film making breakfast, but I just decided not to. The mess behind me. So last August, my mother gave me her Cricut and like all of the gadgets and gizmos aplenty that went with the Cricut, and it has been in my storage closet ever since. And so I decided to pull it out because there's like a couple of t-shirt designs that I really want to make. So I think today we're just gonna putz around and make some like vinyl decals, because I've used the Cricut before, but it's been like a solid year and a half, probably longer than that honestly, since I last used it. So I just want to like play around, try some stuff out, and then we'll get into like making shirts. But Six of Crows, I'm probably like halfway through it now. This is how far we are into it. This is the first half. This is the second half. Yeah, like just shy of halfway through. And it's getting good. We're starting to get more backstory on all the individual characters, which I appreciate. There is one character actually though, Wylan. We have yet to get like a chapter from his point of view. So I'm almost curious like if we're ever gonna get that. Because at this point we've had multiple chapters from every other character's point of view except for his. If you don't know, there's like 6 main characters. There's Kaz, Inej, Nina, Jesper, Matthias, and Wylan. 6 of Crows. 6. We've gotten multiple chapters from every single character, except we have never had a Wylan perspective. And I'm just like, are we ever going to? I also think he might be the mole in the group, because there was a scene where they were about to go on their adventure. They're pretty much tasked with robbing like an impenetrable fortress, and they were just about to start like their journey to this impenetrable fortress, and they were ambushed. So there's like the 6 main people, right? But then there's also the ship crew that there's the crew that they need to man the ship. So they're all thinking that it's like one of the people on the ship who may have like ratted them out and given away like their location, what their plans were. But I have a hunch it might be Wylan. And that's why we aren't getting his perspective, because like obviously we would see in his mind like what's going on. So I think that's why we aren't getting his perspective, is because he's actually the mole. And to be quite frank, I literally just thought of that. Like I'd never thought of that while listening to the book. I just thought of it because I'm like, why aren't we getting his perspective? And I honestly think it's because he's the mole. He's the bad guy, and we would know that like right away, because he would be thinking is like, oh no, like I'm selling them out. I'm the one. I'm the reason. Anyhoozle, to Cricut Land we go. Oh, I'm not gonna lie. One of the main reasons I've had this Cricut in storage for so long is because I thought it would take up an absurd amount of space. Like I'm like, I don't have space for it, but it kind of just fits so perfectly on my desk right here. Do I miss having my book and plant there? Absolutely. And they'll probably make a return, but I'm not mad at her just chilling there. It's backwards. It's upside down. This was so good. Do you ever just like finish a book that was so good and you just kind of like sit there like breathless almost? You just have to. So a part of me just wants to continue on with the audiobook of Crooked Kingdom, which is the second book, but another part of me has really enjoyed the process of like reading along and reading it by myself, and like I don't want to just listen to the audio. Okay, I might talk about this later. I might get totally sidetracked by a different book, but Six of Crows, y'all. So good. I'm gonna find actually another audiobook to listen to that's not Crooked Kingdom. Probably one of the books that's on my bingo card. I have 10 books still that I have to read. I don't think I'm gonna finish this bingo card, but I definitely want to make like a decent dent. Anywho, I'm gonna go on Pango and buy Crooked Kingdom. I decided that we're gonna be listening to And There He Kept Her by Joshua Moling. This is actually written by Minnesota? Kayla, you're from the friggin' state. This is actually written by a Minnesotan author, so that's fun. When I was partaking in Independent Bookstore Day, I saw this on like the local authors table, and I was like, oh my goodness, Yes, so that's how I discovered that Joshua Moling is from Minnesota, as well as Abby Jimenez. Fun fact.
Was a dark brown rectangle without a straight line or a sharp corner. A wooden staircase went up the front to a sliding glass door and small windows with the blinds drawn.
Read 95% fiction this month. I did read one nonfiction book because I gotta keep y'all guessing. Here is my genre breakdown.
This shit is the shit. Also, yes. Y'all, we need to talk about this book so far. I'm not sure how I feel about it. And it is the same day. I just took a shower halfway through the day, so new shirt. I'm really not sure how I feel about this book. I think I'm gonna get to like 50%, which I'm almost there, and decide what I want to do with it, because let's just lay it out. Let's lay it all on the line. So we have two perspectives. We have one perspective of Detective Packard, and they always refer to him by his last name. Like, they never call him Ben, which is why I literally had to look at the back and be like, what is this dude's name? So we have the perspective of Detective Packard, and then we also have the perspective of Emmett Burr. Just so you're aware, this is gonna be spoilers for anyone who's interested in reading this book. So Emmett, we don't see him a lot, but the times we do see him just gives me like big time I don't like these vibes. So Emmett is a serial killer, and he kidnapped one woman because he wanted to find the love of his life. Obviously, things didn't work out the way he expected them to work out, because he literally had to kidnap this random woman. Like, it's not even as if they were friends and he kidnapped her, so they at least had some sort of basis of like a relationship. He just kidnapped this random like store clerk and expected that she was just gonna like, you know, fall in love with him. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So the story starts out with this boy breaking into Emmett's home because he wants to steal medicines, because this boy is a drug dealer. And his girlfriend, Jenny, meets up with him and is all like, I don't know, I don't even really know why she showed up, because he was already there like breaking in and taking care of business, and then she just like randomly shows up. But little do they know, Emmett is at home. Like, he's at home. So he comes downstairs and fucks up their whole entire world. Literally, the chapter ends when he is like, surprise motherfuckers. And then we cut to Detective Packard, and he is like the new sheriff in Durham right now, because the current sheriff is dealing with cancer, and he's just very much like, I'm just filling your shoes. Like, I am not the sheriff. I'm just like, you know, filling your shoes while you're like getting this shit taken care of. So Packard is new-ish in town. He used to like summer vacation up in Sandy Lake, Minnesota, until his like brother passed away, but he went missing and they never found his body. They found his bike in the lake, but they never found his body. Packard has never really been a fan of the town ever since that happened, because he was like really close with his brother, and he served on the police force for Minneapolis, where he also had a lover man named Marcus. And Marcus went through the police academy with Packard, and they kept things hush-hush on the DL because, I mean, I actually don't know what time frame this takes place in, but they're like two gay police officers. So, you know, I think they're just keeping on the DL because I believe, at least for Packard, I don't know about for Marcus, but for Packard, like, this was his first gay relationship, I believe. That's kind of how it's been alluded to when they were introducing like the relationship that Packard had with Marcus. Well, Marcus then is transferred to St. Paul, and he's on this St. Paul police force for a while, and then there is a like domestic disturbance gone awry, and unfortunately Marcus is killed. So after that incident occurred, like, Packard wants nothing to do with the Twin Cities, and he sees that there's an opening in Sandy Lake, so he's like, fuck it, let's go to Sandy Lake. And so yeah, that is his story. And he has an even closer connection to Jenny, who is now a missing person because his cousin, Sarah, Samantha, Shannon, I can't remember. Jenny is her daughter. She's like, Packard, my daughter's missing. And so now Packard is on the hunt for Jenny. And I really actually enjoy a lot of Packard scenes. I find them really interesting and entertaining as a reader. But when we have Emmett's scenes, it's just like creepy. It's a perspective that like I don't necessarily like. I don't want to know the serial killer's perspective per se. I wish we were actually getting these point of views from Jenny, like her perspective on the situation more than Emmett's perspective, because like these chapters that are from Emmett's perspectives are really trying to like humanize him, kind of, sort of. I don't know if that's what the author was going for, but there are times where I'm like, oh, like there was one scene where he was saying he has like an oxygen mask because Emmett's like an older man at this point. He's like older stages of life, and the drugs that Jenny's boyfriend was stealing were like he needs those to survive. And it's kind of funny because Jenny is diabetic and she needs insulin. Like she has an insulin pump, so she needs her insulin to survive. But she obviously wasn't expecting to get fucking kidnapped, y'all. So she didn't like bring her like insulin backup when she was kidnapped, or when she was breaking and entering and then got kidnapped. So it was just kind of funny because he finds out that she has diabetes because he's like taking her out of her dirty clothes. He doesn't do anything to her yet, but he was taking her out of her dirty clothes, and that's when he saw that she had like the insulin pack, and she's like explains to him, yeah, I have diabetes, da da da. It was obviously not that nonchalant. It was actually like very, you could tell like that would have been a terrifying situation for her to be in, especially because she has like a leg injury, so she's like bleeding everywhere, and when he was taking her jeans off, it like reopened the wound because like the jeans had like bandaged pretty much her legs. So yeah, terrifying, but it was interesting. Where was I going with that? Anyways, he's just saying like he's stealing these drugs that I need to live, and I'm just like, well, Jenny kind of needs drugs to live too. So she's like, I understand. And it was just like, it was that point where she's like, I understand and I'm so sorry. Like you feel just a little bit bad for Emmett, and you're just like, no, this dude's a fucking like serial killer, and now he's like holding this chick hostage. And just the fact that you even had like that moment of like, oh, I feel bad for him. I just don't like Emmett's perspective. It just gives me icky vibes. For the most part, I do like Packard's point of view, and again, it's mostly his point of view, but the times that it is Emmett's point of view, I'm just like, can we get like Jenny's point of view so that at least we get like that side of the story, but not from like the serial killer? I don't know. I'm currently watching a Haley Hughes video and eating these gummy bears, these Albanese gummy bears. I've never had these before. My boss, she's from Indiana, so she like sent me these because we were bonding over the fact that we both are not chocolate girlies. We like our like fruity sour gummy stuff. So she's like, ooh, I'll send you some of these. I could have easily bought these in Minnesota. Apparently I've never seen them before, but she sent me some, and these are like so stinking good. I decided to DNF, and there he kept her. Mostly because after we talked yesterday, did I listen to it any further? I don't think I did. It's just like I wasn't being drawn back to reading it, you know you have those books where you're like, oh my god, I need to read this like yesterday. I wasn't having that at all with that book. I was perfectly content never picking it up ever again. So I was like, you know what? I mean, I'm sure someday maybe I'll pick it up again. This is the thing with mysteries, is that I always want to know like what happens? What's the end result? What's the end story? So I'm sure I will revisit And There He Kept Her sometime down the road. I just had like no interest currently to carry on with that story, and I think a big part of that is because of those moments where we're getting Emmett's side of the story. And again, I don't really care about his side of the story, to be quite frank. Actually, you know what would make his side of the story better? If it was more like third person, like someone telling you about Emmett's life versus him telling you about his life. I think that would be better. So yeah, I'm DNFing And There He Kept Her, and I have decided to pick up another mystery thriller that I am thoroughly enjoying so far. And that is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Y'all, this is such a good book, and I'm actually doing another mixed read because honestly during the work week I've just gotten really big into the habit of consuming audiobooks and like reading along when I can. But oh my goodness, the audiobook for this is so good. So the premise of None of This Is True is that there are two main characters. One's name is Josie and one is Alex. Josie is just kind of like a normal person, very ho-hum type of person, and she lives a uneventful, boring life. And then there's Alex, who's like this famous podcast host, and she's very glamorous. And Josie and Alex first meet because they're both out celebrating their 45th birthday. Like they have the same birthday, born on the same day, born in the same hospital type of situation. And then down the road, they meet again. And then they start to get to know each other a little bit. Josie becomes the topic of one of Alex's podcasts, and that's kind of where we're at so far. And because Alex is like this podcast host, oh my God, I love it so much. I'm the biggest snob when it comes to audio quality and honestly just narration style. Like if a podcast doesn't have good audio quality, if videos don't have good quality, guys, let me know if you think my audio quality sucks. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. The audiobook for None of This Is True is so good because it like integrates almost a podcast documentary style. It's so enjoyable to have that sort of integration into the audiobook. It just makes audiobooks more dynamic, which I love. I love a dynamic audiobook because when it comes to reading, like you have that dynamic element in your head, but when you're in an audiobook, there are so many factors that can take you out of an audiobook, particularly narrators and their narration style and how they choose to present different characters and how they speak. Case in point, Six of Crows, when it was Inej's turn and Kaz sounded like a rugrat, that totally just takes you out of the element and like makes it all terrible. But this really like pulls you in, you know, you just want to plunge into the audiobook and soak it all up. I just finished this. I don't know. Like literally the last 3 pages. Not even the last 2 pages. Was it 3? Was it 2? I can't remember. I'm so confused. It was, y'all, it was great. It was phenomenal. Again, 110% recommend listening to the audiobook. Reading it is great as well, but the audiobook just added an extra layer of immersion that was just like, I wish we hadn't gotten the last 3 pages. Because now I feel really confused. I feel like without the last 3 pages, I would have been like 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Now I have to think about this one. We got to think about this one. Present Kayla here. I realized that I forgot to film an outro for this video. So let's catch up, shall we? I feel like I gave pretty good descriptors of every single book I read and what I felt about each book. So in this video, we started Snow Globe, and I will note I did set the book down, not because it was bad, but I just had other books that I was like being engulfed in. But with that noted, I am currently reading Snow Globe, so in about a few weeks you guys will see my thoughts and opinions on Snow Globe. I also read Six of Crows. Such a good book. Oh my God, it was so fun. Once I got over the vocal talent for Inej and her choice vocalization of Kaz's dialogue, the book was so good. It was so good. I'm debating if I want to read Crooked Kingdom mixed, like so with audiobook and reading, or if I just want to do reading. But I do have Crooked Kingdom currently in my possession. It's just a matter of when in the lineup I'll be able to actually read it. Oh, None of This Is True. So good. It was so good. If I remember directly. I believe I talk further about None of This Is True in next week's reading vlog. So I know I didn't really give y'all much in this reading vlog about None of This Is True, but I think I talk about it more in next week's just because I had some choice thoughts and opinions. If I don't mention it in next week's reading vlog, apologies. I will mention it in the May wrap-up video. Technically, I think before None of This Is True, I read And There He Kept Her. And yeah, I think I would have continued on with the book if we just didn't have Emma's perspective, because there were instances where you as the audience were not made, and maybe it was just a more Kayla thing, but there were times where I like felt sorry for him and felt bad for him, and I'm like, I don't want to be feeling this way about a guy who currently is holding someone hostage and has also been known to kill people in the past and kidnap people, like literally kidnap people. So I'm good, thanks though. But yeah, that's it for today's reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Today is Memorial Day, so if you are in the States and you have gorgeous weather, unlike Minnesota, we always have cloudy, rainy weather over Memorial Day weekend. But if you are in a place that does not have that, I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And please, if you have it in your heart, take a moment to pay respect to those we have lost, both foreign and domestic. I hope y'all have a wonderful start to your week, and I will see you in the next video.